Hey there, bright-eyed young Soul Reaper. I'm Captain Joe, and I'm here to teach you about the finer points of being a captain in the Gotei 13. So let's go! Now, if you recently became a captain in the Gotei 13, you might think the world is your oyster. You're now commanding your own division, and you've achieved the highest level of Zanpakuto release. Hold on there, buckaroo, because a Bankai is a responsibility, not a privilege. Or maybe the other way around, I'm not sure. Point is, over 60 Bankai-related accidents occur every year. So for that reason, and in accordance with new Soul Society legislation, here's a list of things that you are never to do with your Bankai. Cooking an egg, flying a kite, having sex, blowing up the moon, building a birdhouse, playing dodgeball, having sex while playing dodgeball, and arm wrestling. However, keep in mind, if you are a female Bankai user, you are allowed to use your Bankai for the following: doing laundry, housekeeping, and making your male captain a sandwich. Your Bankai is an incredible thing that makes you unique, but it's also something that could genocide an entire race of people. So if you're ever in dire straits of whether or not you use your Bankai, just remember, you can't spell Bankai without swastika. This PSA is brought to you by good old-fashioned Soul Society Slims. You already died once, what's the worst that can happen?
Alright, so what did you learn? Zaraki! I learned not to use Bankai to like, take over the world. Whatever. Listen, I know you don't have a Bankai, but if you ever do, you have to keep in mind that it's a strength that you can't just exploit for your own gain.
Is killing people for my own gain?
I guess conceivably, but not necessarily.
Alright then, I guess we're done.
Hey everybody, it's Techie 101 here, here to review Bleach chapter number Kenpachi's Bankai! Oh my fucking god! Okay, look, I know I have to wait until the end of the chapter. I gotta play that little game where it's like, hey everybody, I'm here to review the chapter, and yet I'm surprised when the end of the chapter happens, like I haven't read it before. But no, seriously, this is something I did not ever think that Kubo was gonna go down the road. I know, all the Kenpachi Bankai fanboys, they can win, alright? You go outside, go to a bakery, buy yourself a fucking cupcake, you win the internet for today, on April Fool's Day. So yeah, you get to win that. Although the chapter came out yesterday. Whatever, doesn't matter. Look, the point is that I seriously didn't think Kubo was gonna go down the road, and I'll tell you why I thought that at the end, but you win, alright? I'll bow to you. I'll do a Tekking 101 bow to you. There you go. Oh wait, I called something too. You know what? We'll get to that, shall we? Alright, I've digressed from this enough. Okay, game face. Hey everybody, Techie 101 here to review Bleach chapter number 668, titled Bigger, Faster, Stronger. Sounds like an advertisement for like a new Ford truck, you know, like the new Ford F-1 30,030. It's bigger, it's stronger, and it's faster. Drive American. Alright, so chapter continues on with Kenpachi's stomach getting shredded after he attacked Gerald Valkyrie's Hope Blade. You know, he clashed with his Nozarashi and he nicked the Hope Blade and he just got splattered all over the place. Now, the funny thing is, some people were commenting on a previous fight that Kenpachi had. Remember when Kenpachi fought Ichigo for the first time? There was that little exchange where, you know, Ichigo, you know, he's shaking in his sandals and he's like, gets up the nerve to go attack Kenpachi, and the attack rebounded on him and his hands started bleeding, and people were like, oh, well, clearly that's what happened here. And I'm like, no, because that would imply that Kubo has a good sense of continuity, and we can't have that, right? No, so it's a completely different reason why Kenpachi got damaged there. Then again, of course, it's Kenpachi, so you're not worried at all. I mean, this is the guy that even after he got an arm ripped off by Pernita's attack, he's just like, all right, I lost my arm. All right, I'm gonna cut it up even more. Like, he doesn't get it. No amount of damage is really gonna cause him a lot of worry. He just kind of grips the wound and he's like, I wonder what's going on here. I wonder if I could cut you up more and maybe that'll happen again. I love getting blood on me. Well, anyway, Gerald Valkyrie explains his power, why damaging the Hope Blade managed to do some successive damage on Kenpachi as well. Ah, but you see, miracle is my power, an ability which grants form to the very thoughts and feelings of the masses. Being able to destroy my body, ha! I grew gigantic through fear of the masses. And this sword of mine, of hope, it is sheathed in the hope of the masses. If it were to break, then all would fall into despair, for that is my miraculous power of the M. Okay, I do not understand a single fucking thing you just said there. It doesn't matter. All we have to do is cut him up more until he stops blabbering. I'm not even being sarcastic with that comment with Kenpachi. His reaction to, oh, if I damage his blade, then I'll get more damage, is just to cut him more. Even though we've seen very clearly that damaging his body's not much better because he can just heal and get himself stronger, but Kenpachi just can't process it. I mean, he's not going to be able to, alright, we need to come up with a strategy that, you know, managed to hurt him without repairing his body. It's overload. I can't handle it. So, yeah, Gerald and Kenpachi are just kind of staring back at each other, having a massive dick measuring contest. You'd think Gerald would be the automatic winner, but no, Kenpachi's a fair contender too, and then you have Toshiro there. I love how Toshiro and Byakuya just kind of get pushed to the side there. I mean, Toshiro, it's whatever, but Byakuya, you know, it's kind of hard to upstage Byakuya, but, you know, Kenpachi and Gerald, they're kind of managing it. But we have Toshiro there, and he's just kind of striking this little annoyed face, and he's just like, is it just me, or are these two like a match made in heaven? You are made for me, and I am made for you. I'm making up this song. It sounds like something on Dawson's Creek. Does anyone remember Dawson's Creek? It was really popular in the early 2000s. I was like 7 years old, but I watched it from time to time. I should really start a singing career. I think I'd be great at it, honestly. Alright, so we get the title of that chapter, 668, Bigger, Faster, Stronger. That's what your girlfriend said last night. Alright, so even though I'm not really giving a lot of credit to Kenpachi in order to figure out a way to actually properly damage Gerald, you know, put him down for good, Gerald's really not much better in the thinking department because, you know, he's a big lumbering oaf. Like, he's not on, like, Yami level stupid, but actually, you know what? Yami, he wasn't smart, but I think a major drawback of his power was the fact that in order to access it, he had to be really fucking enraged, and whatever little intelligence Yami had just goes out the fucking window when you're pissed off. So I think the power itself had a little bit of a drawback. Gerald has some intelligence, but you can be a little bit clever, but honestly at this point, it's like trying to kill a flea with a claymore. I mean, like, you can do it, but it's gonna take a lot of tries. So he just dives his Hope Blade, yeah, down into the building, crushes it. Kenpachi just jumps up, pulls a freaking Spider-Man, just starts jumping up the side of the damn thing, leaps off the guard, tries to slash at Gerald's face. Gerald reaches out, tries to grab him with his hand. Kenpachi slips away, gets knocked into a building. They have a little bit back and forth. At this point, it's now Toshiro realizes, hey, wait, I'm in this battle too. I got Bankai back here. I guess we can do something. He launches a new technique called Gunsho Tsurara, Flock of Icicles, and that does, well, dick all to Gerard. They're trying to be a little bit clever and actually contribute in the fight, you know, because a lot of battles are like that, where it's like, oh, I'm just going to stand on the sidelines while you fight. I'm not really going to try to, you know, launch a sneak attack at all, but in this case, considering how Gerald is too big, I mean, I don't know, do Quincy's have a good way of sensing what's around them, like the Arrancar's Pesquisa. I don't think they do. I just think they have like an enhanced, you know, they can sense Reiatsu a lot better because that's their whole deal. So maybe that's just how they can feel around, you know, because Gerald seems pretty damn huge. I don't understand why he'd be able to, you know, keep track of where everybody is considering how tiny they are. Well, anyway, yeah, Gerald basically just gives him the hand, or tries to anyway. It's actually Kenpachi that knocks Toshiro back. That's the second time in 2 chapters that Kenpachi had to put Toshiro in his timeout corner, and he's just like, dude, just let me handle this, okay? I got a big-ass fucking meat cleaver. I got this guy, right? So, yeah, he just knocks Toshiro back to the ground. He lands right next to Byakuya, and Toshiro's about to get up and about to bitch at him some more, but Byakuya walks up to him, and he's just like, look, just don't even bother. There's no point. When Zaraki gets like this, he's insane. By the way, did you notice Kenpachi's eye patch is gone? Now, this is something I didn't really realize at first either, because I just assumed... this is a fault on my end, by the way. I just assumed he hasn't worn the eye patch in forever. Because we had that moment when he was going to go fight against Unohana and he left his eye patch with Yachiru, and it's like, oh, he's just forsaking the eye patch. And I actually had to go back and see the fights against Gremmy and Pernida and see, like, oh shit, he really did wear the eye patch during those fights. I don't even remember that. But yeah, in this fight, he took off the eye patch when he arrived to fight against Gerard. So he's already, you know, admitted, yes, this is an opponent worthy of my medal. Although the eye patch thing kind of just lost all meaning after a while. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it was really cool when he was first introduced against Ichigo, like, this is sealing half of my power. And the eye patch itself even got downgraded. Remember when the eye patch had like a gold lining and had really cool chains on it, and then Kubo switched it over just to like a regular black one, and now it's just literally like a splot of black around his eye? That happens a lot with Kubo's art style. If you go back and watch Bleach read Bleach at the very beginning, you see a lot more detail in certain characters and the way they're drawn, and then after a while Kubo kind of gets tired of drawing it and he makes it simpler. Renji is a perfect example of this. Remember Renji, how he has the tattoos all over his eyebrows, you know, and you know, he drew the cool goggles, but then after a while he just draws a headband now, and the headband takes up most of Renji's face, so he doesn't have to draw the tattoo markings all the time now. I'm not bitching. Mangaka's got a lot of fucking things on their plate, you know, they barely get any sleep and anything, so I'm seeing he's just cutting down, but you just notice these things when you read the series as much as I do. You know, they both admit, like, okay, Kenpachi's acting like such a berserker right now, but even Kenpachi understands this is a guy that's really fucking strong, so he's taking the fight seriously. Now, here's where we get to another interesting point. So, we see this moment, and I thought it was Toshiro that was having this inner monologue where he's like, oh, my ice petals are already starting to dissolve. It looks like everybody's reaching exhaustion. It's not actually Toshiro that's thinking this, it's Byakuya. And the reason that that's pertinent is because of this line right here. So, it appears every last one of us is short on time. Really? That's interesting that you would say that, Byakuya. With Toshiro, it makes sense. And by the way, I totally called that. The fact that, you know, Kubo decided to throw... That's another thing, the ice flowers. You know, it's sometimes Kubo draws them, sometimes he doesn't. But in this case, they were relevant, so he drew them. So Byakuya is noticing Toshiro's ice flowers are disintegrating, and he's like, okay, the time on his Bankai is ending soon, and it looks like we're all kind of short on time here. But why would Byakuya say that about himself? And that's got me a little bit scary there, because it's like, I don't know, Byakuya, I mean, he appeared, I mean, he seemed to make a pretty miraculous recovery when it came to Asnot. I mean, Asnot drilled him into a fucking wall, and he even mentioned later, like, you have no stomach left. And Korinji mentioned to him, like, wow, you take a really long time to heal in these baths. I'm starting to think Byakuya might not be, like, he might be living on borrowed time right now. I mean, I don't know if that's what this scene is supposed to be indicating, but don't throw the idea out just yet. Remember, we had a huge debate, a bigger and louder kind of debate, whether or not Byakuya was going to survive this arc. Kubo might pull a fucking Star Trek II Wrath of Khan on us. Okay, now I have to explain what that is. Alright, so Back in the 80s, there was this movie called Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, and before the movie came out, everyone was sure that Spock was gonna die. It was like released in the trailer, like, oh shit, Spock's gonna die in this. And then the movie started, and in the very first scene of Star Trek II, Spock dies. He dies in an explosion, but turned out it was just a simulation. And everybody in the theater's like, oh, that's what the trailer meant. Spock died in a simulation. And they went the entire movie thinking, oh, okay, he's not gonna die. But then boom, at the end he dies! Spoiler alert. That might be something that's happening here with Byakuya. It's like, oh shit, Byakuya's gonna die, and then Asnot wrecks him up, and he's like, oh, he's dead! But then he comes back after Korinji heals him, he's like, oh, okay, it's all good now, Byakuya's safe, it's cool. But now, shit, I don't know, leave a comment below. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna use an info card. I've never used those fucking, over here, wait, one of these locations. Info card, take a poll. Do you think Byakuya's gonna die in this arc or not? Let's just take a poll, let's see how that's gonna go down. Alright, moving on to the real meat of the chapter, the real juicy, tender vittles. Ooh, I'm so excited. Dropping my mouse. So really quick, Toshiro has a plan. He thinks that if he exerts all of his power in one attack, he can freeze Gerard down to the bone, and then he could just have, you know, Byakuya smash it with Zenbone Zakura. Byakuya kind of doesn't really state that he thinks the plan's gonna work or anything. He's just like, yeah, sure, you can count on me to do that. We cut back over. Kenpachi clashes with Gerard again. Gerard actually holds up his Hope Blade, and we see a lot of scuffs on that damn thing now. A lot of nicks in the blade, and Kenpachi's getting hurt all the while. He gets, you know, blood splattering all over him every time the blade gets nicked. And, you know, granted, we do see Kenpachi get pretty fucked up here, you know, blood spurting from him, but you know what? It's not that bad. Like, it's not as bad as, like, when he was fighting Noitora, and he was getting, like, fucking scythe blades jammed into his carotid artery every 2 seconds, and he's like, ah, damn, I might actually die here. So he's not that damaged, but he is bleeding pretty profusely. Gerard commends his fighting spirit. Along at this moment, when we have Toshiro attempting to enact his plan, spoiler alert, it doesn't work. Gerard catches onto him. He even catches onto Byakuya as well. He smashes his sword down, and that just ruins Toshiro's plan there. And then he begins to scream to the heavens, I am the greatest, the fastest, the mightiest of all Quincy's. Oh, that's where the chapter title came from. I thought it was Kenpachi there for a second. So I don't know if that's like referring to the fact that he's like the physically strongest Quincy. You know, we have a lot of characters like that, or like Gremmy was like, I'm the strongest Quincy. Then we have Lilia, that was the first Quincy that was created by Yuha. By the way, did I mention that? That was a translation mistake. Remember when Lilia stated that he was like the last Quincy being made by Yuha, and everyone was like, what the fuck, that doesn't make any sense, why, you know, whatever. It was actually supposed to be the first Quincy made, this first Sternritter made by Yuha, so that makes a little bit more sense why he was the leader. I can't see any other Quincy being physically as strong as Gerard. The only one that might come close is Maste Masculine if he gets really steroided out on shears, but even in that case, I mean, Gerard's the size of a goddamn skyscraper, so of course, right. Well, anyway, he's just shouting, you know, over his fallen victims. We don't really know what becomes of Byakuya and Toshiro. They get kind of knocked back. I don't think they got seriously injured, though. Kenpachi, though, he's pounded into the dirt, and he's still holding those Arashi, but he's, like, kind of struggling to get up. When we have, this little moment.
Hey, Kenny? Kenny? What you doing?
Yachiru.
Come on now, it's not the time for a nap. There's still more fun to be had.
But he's really strong. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to beat him.
Ha! Silly goose! If you would just use me properly, there wouldn't be anyone that Kenny wouldn't be able to cut down.
Guess what? Guess what? I was fucking right, bitches! Oh! Yeah! That was a called that shit a year and 3 months in advance! That was beautiful! Okay, y'all laughed at me! Y'all laughed at me! Except for the few people that didn't. Alright, so I should probably reference this real quick. If you don't follow my fan page, because I spam the fuck out of it on there. About a year ago, in January of 2015, I made a theory video. Now, this was around the time that Kenpachi just showed up after he was healed, you know, when Urahara and them were planning on going to the Soul Palace. So, I had a theory that Yachiru was going to turn out to be Nozarashi. Now, I'm not the first person to come up with this theory. I know, I'm not taking the credit for it. A bunch of other people did. But I had video evidence of mine, so, But I had this theory, but it wasn't really popular, that Yachiru was going to be Nozarashi, you know? It wasn't really popular. There was just, there seemed like there were too many issues, you know? Like, how come all the other members of the Gotei 13 could see her, and they interacted with her, you know, if she's supposed to be a spirit? She has her own Zanpakuto, what about that? All I have to ask about that is just go watch the video. I've spammed it a shit ton of times, but go watch it, alright? But, yeah, I called this. Now, I have to do a Call That Shit dance, obviously. But this has to be, like, unlike any other Call That Shit dance I've ever done before. You know, so pack your bags, guys. You know where we're going. We're going to a party capital. We're going to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And I'm going to party it out in the streets with a bunch of Brazilian people. I don't even speak Portuguese. But that's the only possible way we can do this, to match the energy and the power of this Call That Shit dance. To Brazil! Yeah, about that. There is no way in hell we're gonna be able to afford Brazil. I know you told me to get the tickets and everything, but I've been crunching the numbers, and you know, we gotta pay for inoculations and passports, and what is this giant elephant piñata you wanted? Like, there's no way this is in the budget. Alright then, well, it's cool. We'll go a little bit at home then. We'll go to a rave in Los Angeles, California. Yeah, okay, see, with that we're talking about a 3,000-mile round trip across the country, which even if I put you on Southwest Airlines with like 16 layovers, that's still going to run us way into the red. And then you're going to California, so of course you're going to need earthquake insurance. I don't think that's going to fly either. Okay, we'll go to the Seedy nightclub in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh? Yeah, I think maybe that could fly. Oh, wait, no. There's Toll Road. That's not going to work either, bro. Okay, well, what do we got then? Pretty much at this point, we just have the shitty green screen to work with. Okay, fine, whatever. Make lemons with lemonade, I guess. We're going to the shitty green screen! Hit it! Alright, that was some fun right there. Alright, well, I'm pretty sure there's nothing else interesting that's gonna happen. Oh wait, no, I can't do that. I already ruined that because of the beginning of the chapter. So, yeah, let's move on to the final part here.
Wait a second, Yuichiro. Are you saying you're my Zanpakuto?
Ha, well of course I am, silly. Didn't you watch Tekking's video?
I don't know what a Tekking is.
Oh, he's a Bleach reviewer on YouTube. Honestly, I find him a little bit creepy, especially when he changes his voice to sound like a 10-year-old girl. But anyway, yeah, and I'm here to give you a super special power that's going to make sure that you can cut down anyone. You know, it's what everyone's been calling Bankai.
Alright, how do I feel about this? Alright, well first, I was sitting around today thinking about this, you know, just the grand scheme of it all. And you know, is anyone else, like, a little bit jarred by the fact that Kubo is quite literally, like cramming all these Bankais, like, successively one after another? Like, I'm not saying, like, I don't know if that cheapens it a little bit, because it's like going into the final arc. You know, it's like, oh man, it's the final arc. We expected to see, you know, Shunsui's Bankai and Urahara's Bankai and possibly Kenpachi's Bankai. I didn't, but I know a lot of people did. We expected that shit going in, but I don't think any of us expected to get it like Shunsui's, then Urahara's, then Kenpachi's, all lined up back to back. Actually, it even Mayuri, because he modified his, if you include that one. I don't know if you want to. Actually, Renji's modified too, so a lot of Bankai alterations here. I don't know if it seems like Kubo's just cramming this shit in successively. I think it would have more of an impact if it was, like, you know, sparsed out throughout the arc, but whatever. But yeah, so I never thought he would have a Bankai, and I think the main reason I never thought he would was because it's like, we never even really got to see his Shikai in full effect. Like, are you really going to introduce his Shikai and Bankai in the same arc? That just seemed rather rushed to me. But granted, it has almost been 100 chapters since he revealed his Shikai. He revealed his Shikai in chapter 577. It's now chapter 668, so it's about, you know, it's about over 90 chapters since the last time we saw a Bankai, I mean his Shikai release, so, you know, it certainly has been enough time. You know, it's not like, you know, a couple months ago he just released his Shikai. I would have liked to see a little bit more with it. But you know what? It actually does make sense. I'm not going to stand here and be like, from a storytelling perspective, this makes no sense. Because in order to attain Bankai throughout the series, what was the one thing you always need to attain Bankai? Well, you need to have a dialogue with the Zanpakuto. You know, you actually need to manifest it and have a dialogue with it. Now, it's important to keep in mind that whatever Yachiru is going to reveal about herself and the sword knows Arashi, they're probably going to be the enigma, the mutation. It's kind of like Ichigo. Ichigo is not a staple of how all Zanpakutos work. Kenpachi is not a staple about how all Zanpakutos work. They're enigmas. Alright, so the rules are going to be a little bit bent for them. But in terms of manifestation, making a dialogue, you kind of already had that with Kenpachi, and Kubo's probably going to throw in like a special reason why, you know, Yachiru was able to be manifested and everybody in the Soul Society was able to see her, and she was a Shinigami just like everybody else, where they believed to her she'd be a Shinigami. He's probably going to come up with a reason for that. So I'm not mad at this at a storytelling perspective on how he would attain Bankai. Now, attaining Bankai and being able to use it properly, those are two completely different things. If he does use a Bankai, God knows what that would be. A fucking nuke. I don't know. There's so many good fan art drawings of Kenpachi's Bankai. I hope actually, in this case, I actually hope Kubo would take some reference, like looking around at other fan art of Kenpachi's Bankai, maybe take some inspiration from it. Because there was really one cool one I saw where it's like him holding a giant dual-bladed scythe standing atop a mountain of skulls. It's like, man, that would be epic. But, you know, who knows what it's going to be. But if he's able just to whip out his Bankai and just, like, whoosh, and then Gerard just explodes in, like, a million fucking pieces, then I'd be like, oh, cool, this Bankai thing's pretty sweet. You know, that would be a little bit, no. I think if he does go Bankai, it's still going to be a little bit of a fight. He's still going to take a little bit damage, because honestly, the way that it's set up right now, I don't see any way that Kenpachi really could have killed Gerard. I mean, even if he, like smacked him right square in the fucking head with Nozarashi, like, right between the eyes, I don't even think that would have done anything, because it'd be like, oh, you hurt me, and then he, like, reforms and makes, like, a giant Viking helmet or something. Like, I'm even stronger than before, so, you know. I'm not even going to try to guess what his Bankai is going to be. Kubo might actually know what we're expecting, though. Like, we expect it to be like this. It's a fucking minigun! Terminator 2! But I don't know. It might be something really simple, like it shrinks his sword down to a fucking dagger. And then Kenpachi's like, what the fuck am I going to do with this dagger? And Yachiru's like, yeah, but just, you know, do this and make an X and fucking giant explosion. I don't know. Hey, I've already called something once, so I think I have some Bleach Street cred right now. A little bit, I think. But yeah, that's the end of the chapter. Not really much for me to go on about. I'm sure you guys are going to take the comment section your own fucking directions about what Kenpachi's Bankai, what it means. But let me know what you think. You know, do you feel a little bit cheated by this? You know, if Kubo is just kind of giving away Bankais now, or not even just giving them away, just compressing them all in a single chapter. You know, this would be like, I'm trying to think of a good example for this. You know, this would be like if in Naruto, you know, like Kakashi and Sasuke and Madara and all these characters all use Susanoo like the first time, all in succession. You know, it'd be like, okay, this is just getting kind of like overwhelming. You should really space these out a little bit more. You know. Okay, well anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Tech Geek 101 signing out.